Yeah, we haven't had the explosive pass plays over top. That's been just a combination of things. It's not quarterback driven. It's just one time we maybe miss up a pro, and the other time we maybe get beat. That happens, right? Then our running back's free. Then another time, we don't have a good route spacing. It's just like every single time there's one spot just so close. So we're so close to hitting those. That'd be probably what I would think the biggest thing. And then the second thing would be just red zone scoring. It depends on what you call a real possession, but real possessions to me are not like end of half. We had 10 possessions. One of those I wouldn't count as a real possession because it would have been a 2-minute drill, which I put in a different category. So 9 possessions, 3 in the first half was all we had. We had 3 first half possessions and then a 2-minute drill that we went 3 and out on. And we went down the field 3 times and got stopped the one time for obviously a penalty, which ended the drive. So I've been happy with how we're playing. We just got to finish drives in the red zone, and we got to start as a staff finding ways to finish drives in the red zone.
Impact of those things you're talking about on a quarterback and how the plays proceed, like maybe missing a block and not being able to connect on the first over out.
Yeah, well, obviously quarterbacks, a lot of people look at stats, and you look at a stat line to determine the play. Sam played one of his best games since he's been here. He played phenomenally, extended drives. He ran more than we like to usually run quarterbacks, but he did because it was needed in the game. He was accurate in quick passing game. He played really, really well. You complete one of those balls down the field, and now you're talking, or 2 of them, and now you're saying, oh, he threw for 330. He had 70% completions. Maybe one of those scores a touchdown. He accounted for 3 total touchdowns. And the narrative completely changes. So to your point, when you start connecting on those, that's how narratives completely change at quarterback. But I thought he played phenomenal.
How you doing, Kenny Hood, Rubino Devils Digest? You came into the Baylor game having back-to-back 200 yards rushing. Baylor was not known to be a stout run defense. Not that the running game really struggled, all that much, but, passing game, I think, maybe outshined them, especially in the second half. What did you see from that specific aspect in the second half for the running game not really clicking as it should?
Yeah, we were bouncing runs too wide. We weren't getting vertical enough with some of the runs. We could have done some better stuff as a staff, creating better leverages for the offensive line for them. So I think it's a combination of a couple things in terms of not getting vertical in our runs. And then we got to do a better job creating better leverages based off of what they were doing on defense. I thought we could have done some things better as a staff.
Blake in the back.
Nice plug there. Wow. It's your new meme right there. Yeah, so the first 2 days are the same. Sunday, Monday, copy paste. Tuesday will be the same. We just don't do as much good on good versus each other. So we don't do as much good on good. We don't do quite as much crossover, which is good on good, but their plays. We just do way more scouts. And then we turn Wednesday into a half walkthrough. So we limit that day and about 30 minutes less than normal Wednesday. And then Thursday becomes mainly a main walkthrough. So we lose Friday, and then we try to get a little bit more rest on Wednesday.
Hi, Kenny. Bob McManaman, Arizona Republic. Well, tell me about just the confidence at the end of that game when you have your stars making the star plays, and obviously the kicker wins it. But just the confidence you have in Sam and Jordan to make those things happen when they need to happen?
Yeah, I got confidence that when our offense is on the field at the end of the game, we're going to get it done. I think over the last, I don't know, Doug's better at this stuff than I am. Over the last 2 years, I think at the end of the game, when something needs to get done, our percentage of getting it done on offense is very, very high right now. And I think that's the positive takeaway is like our offense is so close to being really, really good that we're just right there. We're like on the brink still trying to figure it out. But I will say from week 1 to the end of week 2, we got better. Week 3, we got better. Week 4, we drove better. We just weren't good situationally in the red zone. And if we fix that, then we're talking about every single week we're getting better. So hopefully this next week we put it all together. But at the end of the games, I have the utmost confidence in those guys making plays.
Well, Last one from me, just about your kicker. How
Yeah.
wonderful that was.
Yeah, I mean, he just prepares. I mean, if you guys come out to practice, we'll see we don't kick him as much, throughout the week. And when we're doing field goal, he stands 30 yards behind, taking his steps, simulating like he's kicking on air. I mean, that level of focus is why I have so much confidence in him. It matters to him, and when it matters to somebody, you can trust him.
Hey, Kenny, Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ. As you look at this TCU offense, a lot of productive guys in the passing game and Josh Hoover. Just what stands out to you, and what are some of those challenges you're going to try to limit?
Yeah, the quarterback. He's a really, really good football player. Can extend plays, can make throws in the pocket, anticipates throws, knows where to go with the ball. He's really good, and then they have weapons outside. And then Coach Bryles, it's amazing what he does on offense. It's so much different than what he used to be, and it's so creative, and it's very, very explosive, not just in the passing game, but in the running game. They're very creative. I mean, different formations every week, trying to create leverages. So what they do on offense schematically, and then combined with having a quarterback and the skill players, and then their offensive line play well. But just anytime that quarterback is a dynamic player, which he is, we got to find a way to contain him.
Coach Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. I was going to ask you about the kicking game. It seems to me earlier you were kind of one of those wild and crazy guys. You'd go for it here and there. You'd run trick plays. And it seems like this year you're more conventional. Have you changed your style as a coach based on your personnel? And, do you still have those wild wrinkles in you?
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to change based off our personnel. So we kick field goals at a high rate. We're struggling right now in short yardage. So we get short yardage down there. We're probably going to kick more field goals than we have in the past. And that's just, we're changing our personnel. I think every week and every game is a little different. That's why I don't just copy paste the book in terms of the statistics, because I want to be able to manage the flow of the game for each individual team, each individual game. So, I mean, we kicked 4 field goals. I mean, that's just, it pains me to say it out loud. Like, golly, how do we kick 4 field goals? Like, that's usually not a recipe for success, kicking that amount of field goals. But it also shows the amount of drives we put together on offense, the ball control we created on offense, all of those positives. It's like, man, if we finish 2 drives, we're talking about an offensive resurgence. But that's the name of it. You can't get lost in it. So we challenge the offense a few things to get better at. I'm not going to talk about it here, but what I really want to see that I think could be the difference, and I think if we do that, you're going to see us take that next step because we're so close there.
Hey, Kenny, Jacob Brooks, Sun Devil Source. On the topic of the offense, Derek Eusebio, you talked about after the win, really stepped up and really stayed ready. Do you envision him having a larger role in the offense moving forward?
Yeah, I definitely think him getting on the field more is going to be good for us. He works, he's consistent. So I can definitely see him getting more involved.
Hey, Kenny, Damon Allred, Arizona Sports. With Derek, how much is his multidimensionality with kind of the run plays that he got as well? How much is that something that's helping his case?
A nice word. That was nice. That was good there. But it's huge. I mean, you can trust him. I think at the end of the day, the messaging to the offense today was I want people who will play as hard as they possibly will play, and that we can trust will be where they're supposed to be and do what they're supposed to do. And that's somebody who will do both those things. He catches the ball, he runs the ball, he crosses before contact. Like, he does all the little things right. Crosses, like, the ball, right? For those of you who are wondering, like, that's what he does. He just does everything right. And I think you can win with people who do things right.
And then quick follow-up, Keith has been here since you got here. Just what is the growth that he's had over just that whole time?
Gets better every game. He's one of those dudes who gets better every single game. He learns, he puts it in the bank, and he applies it. Super intelligent. He's the definition of Barrett honors. Like, kid's going to play for a long time, and then he's going to be even more successful in the real world.
Hey, Kenny. Max Spito, Walter Cronkite Sports Network. You mentioned after both Mississippi State and Baylor the dynamics of close games. How after Mississippi State, this was the first time you guys had kind of felt on the wrong end of a close game. And then Baylor, you had talked about that you guys just love heart attacks. Do you guys feel like that you guys have an advantage maybe in the last year and a half with what your group has been through collectively in close games to where maybe you have maybe an edge on the rest of the league because you've been through it, you've seen every single possible scenario, and you feel like regardless of whatever close game result, you'll be prepared for it?
Yeah, I think we harp on game situations all the time. I think our guys are ready for situations at the end of the games. I think our guys are ready to win at the end of games. We don't always get it done, but I think we've won in so many ways. I mean, we've won off offense driving to score. We've won off kicking a field goal at the end of the game. We've won off of a defensive interception at the end of a game in a 4-minute. We won versus UCF off of a 4th and 2, going to be power read quarterback, gut cross, safeties make the play, right, to end the game and seal it. Like, we've won so many different ways in these close moments that I think our guys are ready for those moments in the game for sure. And that has nothing to do with coaching. Some guys, they make plays in the biggest moments. I mean, I wish I could tell you we do something. They make plays in the biggest moments, and I think we got a bunch of our guys on our team who perform their best in the biggest moments.
Coach Kevin Hicks, Arizona State on SI. So much of the discussion about TCU has been about their offense, but obviously their defense has a real enforcer in Bud Clark. He's a legitimate NFL prospect. What challenges is a guy playing center field like him going to present for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, their entire defense, they're playing really good defense right now through the first 3 weeks. Even dating back to last year, towards the end of the year with all the returners, they're playing really, really good defense. Him being in the middle of the field, what's tricky with him is they do so many things on defense, coverage-wise, pressure-wise, that he could kind of be all over, and which makes it harder to find him, harder to play away from him. Because of, schematically how, exotic they are with some of their shows, some of their pressures. Coach does a really good job, Coach Avalos. So, and they do a good job moving him around. So I think it's a great challenge.
Kenny, Colin Harmon, ABC 15. I know you get medical stuff tonight, but anybody that was out this past week that you know will be back on Friday?
That I know will be back, no. Moss is still working his way back. I thought last week at this time he was going to make it. I would still say doubtful for him to make a return. We got some other guys getting checked out, but no, nothing from last week that should be better. Sip will be like full go, so you should expect him to be like more involved and more getting after it.
And then one more. You seem to have a story about every coach from crossing paths at one point. Do you have anything with Sonny?
I don't actually. I don't really know Sonny. I know he's won a lot. I know that, but I don't really know him very very well. I've only heard really good things. So he's obviously won, and he always has good quarterbacks. So that's not fun.
Hey, Coach. Luke Lemler, Sun Devil source. Heading into your game against Robertson on Saturday, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country with a clean pocket. Your pass rush, you've talked a lot about working in the offseason, was able to push him off his spot a lot. What does that say about the group's development?
Yeah, I mean, our pass rush, I've said it since fall camp, has been one of the most improved things on our team is just the size and strength of our defensive line and the ability to rush for and impact the quarterback. There were times where our games were a little sloppy last night or 2 nights ago. But for the most part, our games have been clean. Our straight rushes have been clean. Clayton didn't get a sack, but he caused another holding penalty, which is essentially a sack in my mind. So the impact was the same. So I think you have a whole bunch. Prince is playing well. There's so many guys. They're just playing really well up front. They're playing team football.
And heading into TCU, Hoover, similar-ish profile to Robertson. How do you carry that performance over week to week?
Yeah, it's different. I think every guy you play is different. We can't let this guy extend plays. We knew last week it was going to be quick game, hot throws, balls over the middle of the field. This week, this guy he makes all the throws. He extends plays and makes explosives. So we've got to be able to contain him and not contain him for rushing for 150 yards, but contain him from extending plays, not getting sacked, and then extended plays create explosive plays, and that's what we got to prevent.
Hey, Kenny, when you mention guys making big plays in the biggest moments, is there something or how do you and your coaching staff identify that when recruiting a guy either out of high school or through the transfer portal?
I don't know. We got lucky. I think care level, I always go back to whenever I don't know an answer to something, I think care level is real. I think how badly somebody wants something, the odds of succeeding are higher. Right? How much you're willing to, what are you willing to do to succeed? Like, are you willing to stay up all night if you knew it would create an advantage? Are you willing to go to bed at 7 if you know it's going to create an advantage? I think some people, they just want it so bad, they're going to do what is necessary. And those guys are going to have a higher level of performance come game day. Those are the guys who are going to be more prepared, and those are the guys who are going to perform better. So I would say care level. Like I just want people that it absolutely matters. Everything matters.
Doug Franz Unplugged podcast. There's a guy named Red Auerbach that one time said, "I'm sick of these questions. We don't go out there and play solitaire." But I have a question about the offense. You said after the game, if they're going to bracket JT, we got to be able to find other people. Where's that line between he's a first-round pick, if he's covered, he's open, he's covered, he is open, and what is going on the backside? Why aren't guys getting open?
Yeah, I think some of it is, we're scheming, potentially JT up in some man things. So then when people bracket him in man, our answer may not be, attacking them downfield. So I think we got to do some different things opposite JT with how teams are going to start playing them and how teams have played them schematically, which can help us. So I think that starts with me to fix that problem. 2, we got to be better at our perimeter blocking. We're not having as many explosive plays. Whether it's running backs, tight ends, just blocking in space, wide receivers, and those explosive plays. If teams are going to bracket a player and double team a player, well, naturally they're down a human being. Well, if they're down a person, there's one less person over here, whether you run it or throw it. So if you run it, you should have more explosive runs. If you throw it, we got to create better leverages and angles for that. So I think it's just a combination of things that we got to do away from if people want to bracket them. But once again, like I said last week, you can bracket, but, we went on 2 drives in the first half that were over 13 plays. So we had 3 real drives, and 2 of them were over 13 plays. That's efficient as I've ever seen offense, right? One of the other drives ended on a holding call on a 3rd and 7 conversion that would have extended the drive. Those were our 3 drives in the first half. That's really, really good football. Now, if you score touchdowns when you get down there, right? So we did attack the way we wanted to. We just got penalties, and we didn't score in the low red zone. So when you look from, the macro point of view of did you score or did you not, it doesn't look great. When you look at the details, it's like, man, we're that close to being really, really good, and I think that's always the challenge on Sunday and Monday is we come in and we challenge the guys to be better at the areas that we got to get better at in order to improve. Win or loss, doesn't matter.
And what's your favorite flavor of Powerade?
Oh, well played. Maroon?
Kenny, you talk about the care level and how important that is with your players. So I guess spinning that, where do you think the care level is at with the community and the fan base right now, coming off back-to-back sellouts and now an opportunity to showcase yourself under the Friday Night Lights?
Yeah, it's been unbelievable playing at home. We need that this week. This isn't one of the games that I've said this is going to be a critical game to our season. I've said it from dating back to when the schedule came out was we have a really, really good TCU team with a really good quarterback coming in on a Friday night, high emotions, right before a bye week. Like this, we got to push all the eggs or the chips, whatever it is. I don't know. Haven't slept much. Into the middle, right? And we need the fans there. And we just don't need you there. We need you loud. Like we need to make an impact on Friday night. For our players because we've been showing up. We've been great. I mean, the atmosphere has been awesome. Let's continue to build on that. And Friday night, let's make, this the place to be on Friday night.
Andrew Hazlett, Devils in Detail. Good afternoon, Coach. How have you seen Derek Eusebio grow from a walk-on to now today?
He's super intelligent and he works. I mean, that's how he's grown is he puts in work every day. He's intelligent, so he knows where to be. You know how many times we practiced jet sweep with him last week? 0. But guess what? He's done it in the past, and we trust him. So we just put him in there after he got momentum. We're like, you know what? We can trust this dude. Let's keep playing him. However we got to do it. Let's underthink the coaching and overthink the player, right? It's a player's game. So we just said, how do we get him the ball, and we did it.
And then a follow-up question. How important was Jalen Clem's tackle on special teams on that one return for the team's morale?
Oh, it's huge. That Jalen just worked all off season. He's a tough dude, and he's going to start playing more on offense. I said I want dudes that have an edge about them. I want to start inserting a little more of an edge, and Jalen's got an edge. And that tackle was an example of that. Him on field goal, he's at a wing or the tight end spot, which basically the tight end spot is basically get run over every single time we kick a field goal. I mean, it sucks. That's your role. Two people are going to run into both shoulders. Your job is to get as big as possible and get run over. And he just does it. And he's a really good football player, too. So we got to start saving some legs with some other guys and rotating him in to get him involved, because that competitive nature is something that I support being on the football field. And guys who make plays like that, I want on the field.
Kenny, you talked about not having an update for Alford's status. What have you made of Boogie Wilson through 2 games in that starting role, and how important is it having a guy like that that's just ready to jump in?
So I'm glad you brought that one up. Alford is out, so that'll be the same. So I was thinking guys that could come back, but in my mind he was out. So like he couldn't, it didn't trigger. But thank you for bringing that up. Yes, he's out. Boogie's been playing really well for us. He had a really nice, him and Rouser together had a really nice tackle, which created a takeaway in the football game, which was critical. So I'm glad we have Boogie. Last year we kind of got through the season without injuries, which is nice. This year, not so much. Dinged up pretty early with some vital players. Dinged up, even throughout spring ball. But it was good to get Zach Swanson back this last week. And he got a little reps this last week. So hopefully that continues to trend. But, yeah, Boogie's been great.
And then quick follow-up, talking about guys stepping up in the secondary, what did you make of Kendrick Breedlove's performance against Baylor?
That was his best game as a Sun Devil for sure. Triggered when we needed him to trigger and blow up screens. Covered really well. Kept leverages. Squeezed. Attacked the ball when he was behind the ball after chasing the ball on the first drive for them, which created TFL. So, that's a guy, once again, care level high. He wants to be good. Sometimes he's too hard on himself, but his want to is there.
Coach, I'm so glad you brought that. That was where I was going. I was thinking about Sam, though. So last year, Sam was kind of an unknown quantity, right? You would hear safeties say stuff like, oh, he was way faster than I thought he'd be. Like this year, everybody knows what they're going to get. How is he responding to that?
Yeah, really well. I mean, obviously, early in the season, week 2, I just didn't like our plan. I didn't go do a good job for him. But since then, he's been awesome. And when you think about last game, he equated for almost 300 yards, probably 75% of our offense, or that is roughly 75% of our offense, was him in the football game, run or pass. He was efficient. We didn't turn the ball over. He was his best in the biggest moments. So I think he's starting to learn how teams are going to play him. So, when you're a quarterback, you go through the nobody knows me phase, and you get to, play your game. Nobody knows you. Then you go for the, whoa, somebody learned me. And then it's copycat. Everybody learns you. When one person learns something that gives you problems, everybody learns it. That's coaching. So then you're like, oh, crap, I got to get out of this. And then you've got to grow from that. And then they figure out something else that gives you problems, and you struggle. Until eventually you've been through the cycles of what everybody defense can do that can kind of give you a problem. So when you see it again, you're like, oh, this is like blank. And then you play better. So I think part of quarterback progression is those play really good. We could have played better. But he's getting to that point where he's seen so much now that we know how teams are going to attack him for the most part. And he's done an awesome job.
And then with the guys who care a lot, like Sam, or a safety, or a defense, or linebacker, doesn't matter. For the guys who care a lot, there's the risk that they care too much. How do you keep a guy dialed back? It's like, dude, you're awesome. Go be awesome. How do you do that?
Yeah, I think you have to say, you have to have keep it enough fun, so where it's not every play is the most important play. But you can't be wound up all the time. You got to go play the game. Like I tell Sam before the game, everything I told you, forget. It's over. If you're thinking about what I'm telling you before you take a snap, we are in trouble. You should be thinking about whatever is in your mind at that moment. You've got to play natural. If you're at safety and you're thinking about all this other stuff, right, wrong. You should be thinking whatever is natural to you. And if we did a good enough job as a staff, what is natural to you is the plan. It's not thinking about what did coach tell me? Oh, crap, they motioned a bunch. What did coach want me to do? What? Sack. We motioned a bunch. Oh, what coverage are we supposed to get in? Freeze. No. We motioned a bunch. React. Right? And if they're thinking about what we want, something's wrong. So I always say to those guys who love ball, when you get out there, if you're not ready, that's on us. Go play your game.
Hey, Kenny, Jake Garcia, 12 News. Along those lines with Keith Abney, what does it say that the natural thing for him to do after the PI call wasn't to spiral, but instead recommit to technique and raise, his level of game? Yeah, he was pissed because he thought he was in good position. And like I told the guys at halftime, we got 2 PIs on their last drive at the end of the half. We were doing what I told them to do, which was take away a certain route concept, and they were doing it. And I'm like, great job. Like, we're playing man coverage, guys. If you play man coverage 50 times, you're going to get pass interference. I wish we weren't. Maybe we'll play a game where we play man coverage 50 times and we don't. Wake me up, because that won't happen, right? Just unfortunate when it's back-to-back, and it's unfortunate when it's on third downs. Third downs, man, penalties drive me nuts because they extend drives for free. But if you play man and challenge people, you're going to get flags. I always look at the end of the game when it comes to in-game penalties. I always look at compared to the opponent because every crew calls things differently. So you can't say, penalties are bad because penalties could also be aggressive. So if they're saying, hey, we're going to call this game a certain way, as long as you're close to the opponent in those level of penalties, then all you're doing is playing football. They just may call it more, they may call it less, right? The penalties that drive me nuts are the self-inflicted, not on the ball when we're in unbalanced, false starts. Right, those things drive me nuts. Football penalties, that's the game of football. It's going to happen. It just sucks when it happens at some timing.
Coach Niall Rosenberg, State Press. 6 penalties for 60 yards in the first half, but only 1 for 10 in the second. How can they continue to be cleaned up as they were against Baylor?
Yeah, same, kind of the same thing I just said in terms of I don't like procedural penalties. I hate pre-snap penalties. Those are MAs. In my mind. But when it comes to football penalties, all right, they had a great jump in the low red zone on one of our cadences. Unbelievable jump, and we held them. Okay, they got a great jump. Our guy gets turned, he holds them. Do I want that? No, but golly, let's change cadence so we don't get somebody jumping off on our offensive tackle. That's not fair either, right? All right, we play man coverage and we get 2 defensive holdings. All right, that sucks. We throw 2 screens, we get holdings. Yeah, we got to refit our hands a little closer, but we didn't stay engaged in the holding. The holdings were way better than they were in week 1 where we were grabbing and tackling, right? Now, okay, our hands were outside, we refit. All right, they got us the half second our hands were outside, they threw it, right? Is that going to be thrown every game? No. So I think there's a balance of wanting your guys to play aggressive and teaching them to never get penalties. There's some penalties you can't live with, but other penalties, if we're getting penalties attacking and playing the game in an aggressive mindset in terms of blocking, I'm cool, right? As long as we're not doing it recklessly, but I want to see violence and passion and aggressiveness. That's what football is. I say over and over again, move people backwards, you win games. Both sides of the ball.
Hey, Coach. Ryan Myers, Devil's Digest. I know at the beginning of the season in the fall camp, you and Coach Ward talked a lot about wanting to kind of do a lot of the same identifying processes, but kind of change up what you guys are doing in terms of what you were showing teams offensively. Do you feel like after seeing a game where you guys got 3 different takeaways that you're doing a lot of more improved stuff from last year in terms of disguising or showing things that you maybe weren't showing last year?
Yeah, no question about that. And, our thing is every 3 games we want to be completely different. So, hopefully this week we look completely different. Once a team gets 3 games on you, they're going to have enough formation, video that they got you, right, for the most part. So every 3 games we try to look different, be different, right, change everything. So hopefully, we come out this week. Now, the hard part is it's a short week. So there's a balance of how much can you completely change as opposed to normal going into a short week. But we definitely hope those shows, disguises, and some of those things look completely different this week because, like I said, you play 3 3 weeks of football. When I say that, I mean similar style of offense, like open set offenses, right? When you play those 3 in a row, it starts to become obvious. So we tried to change a little last week. We'll change a little bit more this week, and try to constantly adapt.
And quick follow up to that as well. How do you do that, like you kind of mentioned, without overwhelming your players and then kind of confusing stuff up before you go into like a
Yeah,
game?
I mean, make it look like quarters. I wish it was more complicated. Like make it look like thirds. Start over there and motion over there if you're on offense. Like it's not as complicated. It's more, can you do it throughout a game and get your job accomplished? Us coaching, it's simple, right? It's can we actually show it correctly? Because if you don't show it correctly, then you're just out of position and they already know what you're doing. So there is a balance of like, what do you show? What do you not? How do you want to trick people, or do you want to say, this is what we're in, let's dance? I think there's a balance. I think sometimes you got to say, this is what we're in. You call your play, we've called ours, and let's go. Then other times you got to, throw the quarterback off to get him out of that rhythm as well. So I think there's a balance within that, like you said, where sometimes we want to have over disguises, sometimes we want to have under disguises. And if your over disguises look like your under disguises, then your under disguises are disguised, right? Because they go together. And that's the goal, is you want to make it all look the exact same without really doing much different. Thank you. Appreciate it.